The idea, insight, or secret you need for massive impact is just moments away. It's time to claim your career crown. The podcast where business owners and entrepreneurs share the keys to the kingdom to help you open the vault to your greater success.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Laura Rinnankoski. And today we're going to be talking about how personal transformation inspires successful coaching. And personal transformation is so important as we grow and evolve throughout our lives and our careers. And if you get a ton of value in this episode, I would love to invite you to subscribe because it costs nothing to subscribe. Now, Laura is an international transformational life coach, a certified NLP practitioner, a sought-after motivational speaker, and a 2-time best-selling author. Her ability to coach in English, Spanish, Finnish, and Italian significantly enhances her global reach. Laura's extensive international background provides her with an exceptional capacity to connect with and support individuals from diverse cultural landscapes. Among her impactful offerings is the Confidence Catalyst, a powerful 9-week program designed to empower individuals to transcend past limitations and confidently embrace a future filled with achievements. Laura, I am so thrilled to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Well, I have to ask you because, first of all, I can speak one language and one language only, which is English, even with having spent years trying to learn Spanish. But the whole background is so fascinating. And what you do, I'd love to have you give us some backstory and what inspired you to get started on transformation, on the personal transformation journey and working with your clients.
Yes, it's been quite a journey, in this life. So I was born in Finland, and when I was 5 months old, my family moved to Venezuela. So I grew up in Venezuela and went to international American schools. Then I studied university in Boston. I went to Boston University, then Miami, and now I'm in Dublin, Ireland. So that kind of gives you, my background, my life in a nutshell, right? And that's why I speak all the languages that I speak. And in terms of coaching, coaching combines 3 things that have always been important to me. I've always known that I have a big mission in this life, and I've always known that I'm here to help people. Even like when I was little, I would ask my Mom, what's the purpose of my life? Why are you? Why am I me? The typical stuff that little kids ask, right? So I always knew that I had a big purpose. And, coaching combines helping people. I'm a big communicator. I love talking to people in all the languages that I speak. And I'm also very spiritual. So coaching combines these 3 things really well for me.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so how does personal transformation inspire successful coaching?
Yeah, well, I think that, as a coach, you have to go through, everything first, before you can coach your clients, right? So I've been through a lot of change and transformation in my own life, not just because of all the different places that I've lived in, but of course, everything that's happened along the way, right? Like all the twists and turns in life, right? And the only constant in life is change, right? That's like the only guarantee, right? Nothing else is guaranteed but change. And change can be scary. Change can be scary and overwhelming. And many times people, people can be very scared of change, right? And they want to hold on to the old, everything that's old, and they're afraid of letting go, right? But many times it's like you have to let go of the old to make space for the new.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I work with people a lot around that. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm curious because now you've sort of alluded to that. How do you do this? Do you have some kind of process? It sounds like you do a very specific journey that you'd help people follow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one thing that I do is that when I have a client, we look at their stories, right? Like, what kind of story are you telling yourself, right? Because everything is a story, right? You can have a very negative story, or you can have a very positive story about yourself, about life, about relationships, about changes, whatever it is, right? We all have stories. And the thing with the story is that you can't change what happened in the past, but you can change the story that you're telling yourself about something that happened in the past. For example, around relationships. I mean, I've worked a lot around relationships. So, if you go through a breakup and you're heartbroken, one story that you can tell yourself is, I lost the love of my life and now I'm going to be alone forever, right? Obviously, that's a very negative story. That's a very negative story. And it's definitely not conducive to you, finding a new relationship, right? Another story that you can tell yourself is, I'm thankful for this relationship. I learned a lot from this relationship. This relationship will help me find a better relationship in the future, right? Yeah. So the stories are very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and you sort of walk through that with the stories, and you did touch on it, but I really have to ask, I mean, in your experience,
Yeah.
why is personal transformation a challenge for so many? And I recognize that it can be hard to change, but what
Yeah.
are some of the things that you're really working with people on?
Yeah. Well, I think that personal transformation is a challenge because, first of all, it's not something that is taught in school, right? Like, there's no personal transformation classes in school, which there should be, right?
Yeah.
There should be, because it's so important and it impacts you on every level. The way that you think about yourself and your thoughts and your beliefs, all of that impact your life on every level. So this should really be taught in schools, but it's not, right? So we have to take it on ourselves, to do the work outside of school. Because
Right.
the better you know yourself on all levels, and the more you accept yourself on all levels, the better your life will flow in all ways. And it doesn't mean that you're perfect, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to think like, oh, I have it all figured out and I'm perfect. It's not about that. It's accepting yourself, with your pros and your cons, right? Because we all have it. Like, we all have light and we all have shadow, all of us, right?
Right.
So it's accepting that, and I think that self-love and self-acceptance is something that we all need to work on every single day. I think it's the most important thing that we need to, figure out in this life. And many times it can be the hardest one as well, right? Because when things are going well, it's really easy to love yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it's in those challenging moments, right? It's in those challenging moments that you want to beat yourself up and be like, oh, I can't believe that this happened. That's when it's the most important to love yourself. And that's when it's the hardest to love yourself, right? So I think, coaching brings awareness. Coaching brings awareness and responsibility to people's lives, because your life is only your responsibility. I mean, you can sit there and blame your parents, your partner, your husband now, your ex-husband. You can blame anybody that you want, but at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility, right? And the only person that can change your life is you. Nobody else can do it for you. And then you can only change something that you're aware of. You can't change something that you're not aware of. And once you become aware of something, you can't unaware yourself of that thing, right? So that's why coaching is so powerful and so transformational.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I've said that before, like with a movie, I can't unsee this, so like,
Exactly.
I don't like movies that with, like a lot of violence, especially towards women or children. I just, you just,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a totally different topic, but I totally understand. And you do, everyone has that power to make a choice, and the choice to become aware, to make a change. And, but some people, they really struggle with that. They don't really recognize that they have a choice. And so that's one way that it can hold people back. But what are other ways that hold people back from taking this ownership and that responsibility to help themselves, to give themselves that gift?
Exactly. And And it's nice the way that you called it a gift, because it really is. And one thing that I say to my clients is, give yourself permission, right? Give yourself permission to be happy again.
Yes.
Give yourself permission, right? Because many times people can be so hard on themselves. People can be so hard on themselves and so harsh on themselves that I tell them, be your own best friend, right? Instead of being your own worst enemy, right? Be your own best friend. And, it makes such a difference, because the way that you talk to yourself and the way that you treat yourself, you're telling like the rest of the world and other people to talk to you like that and to treat you like that, right? So yeah, it all begins with you, right? It begins and ends with you always, always, in every situation, every relationship, because you can only control yourself. You can't control anybody else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So true. So what should our listeners do next about their own personal transformation, or starting that journey, or the first step? What can they do today, tomorrow, next week?
Yeah. What can you do today? Well, actually, there's one exercise that I love giving my clients, that when they first hear about it, they're like, come on, that's crazy. So I tell them to write a list of 100 things that you love about yourself, right?
Okay.
And when they first hear, like, come on, 100 things? I can't think of 100 things that I love about myself, right? But the thing is that it doesn't matter if you write 100 things, 90, 80, 70. It doesn't matter the amount of things that are in there. What matters the most is that you do the exercise, right? That you sit down and you think to yourself, okay, what good qualities do I have? Like, what do I bring to the table, right? And what happens is that when you start writing this list, all of a sudden it just starts like flowing, right? And then you're like, oh yeah, I like this and I like that, right? And actually, this is a really interesting exercise, because in terms of relationships, many times, people have the list of qualities that they want in a partner, right? I want my partner to be, and then the laundry list of qualities. But then people forget to write the list of like qualities that they bring to a relationship, right? Like, what are you bringing to the relationship, right? You have a huge list of what you want from your partner, but what are you bringing to the relationship? And you can also like do a list of the qualities that you want in a partner, and you become that list, right? Because you're gonna, like attracts like, right? So if you want to meet a positive person, you need to be a positive person. If you're like a sad and miserable person, you're not gonna attract a happy person into your life, right? And that works on all levels. But I think that, the exercise of writing the list of things that you love about yourself or like about yourself, if love is, if that word is too strong, right? I think that that's a really, really interesting exercise. And it's literally like a love letter to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I know I had a challenge at a mastermind event a couple of years ago about writing down 100 goals. And it was like, that's a lot of goals. But once you put it out there and you're expressing and put it out in the universe, these things just started happening.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really, and so it's the same thing about, it's a really positive way, to put that energy out. So I love that. Laura, is there anything you wish that I'd asked you today?
Yeah, my God. Well, I think, yeah. Well, one thing that comes to mind, I spoke about, the self-love and the self-compassion. I think that everybody on a daily basis, should ask, like, how much am I loving myself today, right? Like, truthfully, right? How much are you loving yourself today? And love yourself like a little bit more every day. I think that people have such a hard time with this. Like, you would think that it would be like the easiest thing to do. And it seems to be a really, really difficult thing to do. To love ourselves. We're always looking for that love outside, right? We're always looking for that love outside. And the truth is that love is inside, right? And the more love you have inside, the more love you're going to have to share with the outside world, with the partner and with everybody else.
Yeah, because love is unlimited.
Exactly.
And you can always make more. I love that. I think the other thing is gratitude of all the things you have to be grateful for. And because it just fills your cup.
Exactly.
Yeah, Laura, thank you so much for sharing how personal transformation inspires successful coaching.
Thank you.
I know that our listeners are going to want to know more about you and where they can find and connect with you.
Yes. Yes, so you can find me. So my website is laurarinnankoski.com. I know I have my very easy Finnish last name, but it's written here. So, and if you Google me, you'll find me. I'm the only Laura Rinnankoski in the world. So I'm very easy to find.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners who've tuned in today. This has been such an informative discussion, and we so appreciate your being here with us and sharing these incredible stories. And Laura, thank you again. This has been really a delight, and love having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lynn.
What was your biggest takeaway from this episode? I would love to hear about it. It's important to share the things you love. If you loved this episode, a 5-star review really helps keep the podcast coming to you regularly. Also, if you want to get more sales strategies to grow your business, make sure you subscribe right now. If you want to get results even faster, I invite you to download my sales strategy checklist at petitetoqueen.com/checklist. This has been Lynn Whitbeck, host of Claim Your Career Crown. I'll see you next time.